So my topic is haptic robots, and the subsequent topics are different kinds of planar, jig-based and all. So I'll stick to haptic robots. Origin from the Greek word hapteshai, which means touch or contact. Haptics is the science and technology of transmitting and understanding information through touch. So this is the primary point here. After vision, it's the second most important way we have of understanding, exploring and interacting with the world. So it's just not new to robotics or something. Haptics is something that we use every day, everywhere. So the feel of a plaster, the feel of this button on the phone, all of these are part of the haptics. And when you go to the anatomy of it, the perception of touch is induced through several modalities, including pressure, vibration, stretch, and temperature. Mechanisms involved are basically of two types. So if this haptic sensation may be a tactile sensation, or it could be a kinesthetic sensation. So when you talk about tactile, it's to do with pressure, vibration, texture, pain, temperature. But when it comes to kinesthetic, it's the proprioception, that is the body position and movement. So when we talk about the haptic robots, they focus primarily on this second one, that is the kinesthetic. Haptic devices aim at generating force feedback and are usually actuated by electrical motors. The force feedback can be large enough to stop the user's motion, for example, to stimulate a rigid contact. Body position and movement are understood in real time by the robot, and a force feedback is generated to stop the cutting tool when it reaches its boundary. So these are the types of orthopedic robots. Based on the amount of control, you have active, passive, semi-active. Based on requirement of pre-op imaging, you have image-based, imageless, and then the implant selection. When we come to active or autonomous robot, you have just seen during the surgery, they require the surgeon to perform the approach and set up the machine, but once engaged, the robot completes the surgery without the surgeon's help. So you've already seen this in the QViz just now, where you've put it in. So this is not a haptic robot. This is a autonomous or a fully active robot. There is no surgeon hand involved here. So that will probably be covered in the subsequent talks. But here, the edge of the implant is where the stop for the cutting tool is given. And when it comes to semi-active or the haptic robots, this system allows the surgeon to drive the robot to perform the operation. Now this technology requires constant input by the surgeon for the procedure to proceed. Just so you know, haptic robots are right now in different aspects, but in orthopedic surgery restricted to only the Mako. So haptic systems, haptic feedback is one example of a semi-active system providing tactile feedback. It provides tactile feedback to augment the surgeon's control. The robotic system provides passive haptic restraints for surgical resection. So that's what we just discussed. Therefore, the surgeon cannot burr bone outside of preset volumetric parameters. Feedback is also provided to the surgeon through not just that force feedback, but also auditory, that could be a beeping, tactile, vibratory, and visual, the color change on the computer screen. These alerts trigger and provide feedback to the surgeon, and therefore it prevents over-resection and injury to adjacent tissues. So this is what the concept of haptics is in the Mako. You can see that there is a boundary which is created. The green boundary is the haptic boundary, and as soon as the burr goes and hits that, the PCL island is over there, you can see at the back, and now it's going medially, posterior. The moment it hits that boundary, it stops. So that is going to limit your injury to the adjacent tissues. Now, of course, all these are the benefits of robotic surgery, but it's really these two, that is reduced risk of damage to vital structures and minimal retraction of soft tissues. You would see that the medial homens was not even put in today, and I've seen even in total knee with the saw, a lot of surgeons have stopped using a homens on the medial side because there is such an accuracy to this haptic system that the boundary is well within the range. So let's see where exactly it is. So in the Mako, especially important near the collaterals and then posteriorly near the neurovascular structures. The standard boundaries are offset from the implant by 3 millimeters. So that's your standard boundary. Then there is also a concept of an extended boundary. It is offset from the implant by 6 millimeters or 3 millimeters away from the standard boundary. So this is just given so that there is a easier access for cutting. Sometimes the boundary gets too tight for us to move. So to ease the efficiency, an extended boundary is given. But not all boundaries get extended. The posterior femur and the proximal tibial boundaries on the posterolateral side, they don't get extended. So this is the difference between a standard and an extended boundary. You can see this, you can see the edge of the implant and 3 millimeters away minimum. So because this is a safe zone, you can see that the boundary is even more than that. But this is the extended boundary, where beyond that 3, you go for another 3 mm. So to conclude, there are several types of robots we know. Semi-active robots are the ones that use haptic feedback technology, and in specific the Mako. This greatly adds to the safety of cuts. Boundaries can be extended, but with caution. Thank you.